It's 6 o'clock. We're all here. So it's the annual reorganization meeting of the Rochester-Stockbridge Unified District Board of School Directors. My name is Jamie Canary, I'm the superintendent of schools, so I am the one to call this meeting to order. So I'll call it to order at 6 o'clock. Any adjustments to the agenda? I had one suggestion. We did get the annual meeting minutes they came out today. I don't know if the board members that were there at the meeting had a chance to review those or not, but if so, I'm happy to have that be moved to add under 4.1, the consent agenda, as 4.2. Is there a motion to do that?
So
Second.
Oh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have two new board members here this evening, so I thought before we go to 3.1, it would be an appropriate time just to have folks introduce themselves, because I don't know if everyone's actually even met yet before we go to electing a chairperson. Any objection to do that?
no objection.
All right. So Jamie Canary, Superintendent of Schools, welcome.
Lindy Stetson, principal of Rochester and Stockbridge Schools.
Amy Wilt, Rochester resident and
Former
chair.
Soon to be. I'm Bill Edgerton of Stockbridge and vice chair. Well, up until tonight, we'll see. Go ahead.
And I'm Joshua Badukowitz, newly elected board member from Stockbridge. Patrick Hudson, I'm from Stockbridge and I am the current clerk.
Robert Mayer from Rochester.
Ben, want to go?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Did you call me?
Yeah, go. Did you hear us at all? Or you can?
It's muffled a bit. Robin Beaver Long, I live in Rochester. Do you want to know more about me?
That's sufficient.
Terry, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Tara Wetherill. I'm the Supervisor Union Business Manager, as well as all the districts.
And Linda, we'll have you introduce yourself when we do celebration of learning.
Okay.
And we're working on the audio, just so you know.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to move to 3.1 unless there's any other adjustments. Yes.
Wasn't Patrick elected as clerk?
This is
Different clerk.
a different clerk.
Okay.
Right. So there's the elections clerk for the board, and then there's a clerk that certifies the minutes.
Understood. I didn't even know that. Learning something new.
No, it's all right. It's all good. 3.1, to elect a chairperson. Do I have nominations for chair?
I nominate my daughter.
I second.
Are there any other nominations for chair?
No, but who's your daughter?
Amy Wilt.
Okay.
Name's in there someplace. You gotta run through all the kids. sometimes
Hearing
first, you
none.
know?
All those in favor of Amy for chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any noes? All right, Amy, it's all yours.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to another year leadership and in partnership with you. All right, so we're gonna go with 3.2 to elect a vice chairperson. Do I hear any nominations?
I nominate Bill Edgerton.
I second.
So we have
I second.
all right, we have a nominee and a second. Is there any further nominees? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. 3.3, to elect a clerk. I don't know, Jamie, if you can expand upon the role of the clerk as.
So this clerk is really the person that needs to make certain our meeting minutes are kept up with. All right, so and it's on the board reorg packet. It ensures the meeting minutes are kept, ensures that draft meeting minutes are available to the public within 5 days, ensures minutes and agendas are posted to the appropriate designated posting place. It's really about the minutes and postings of the warnings. And, you know, in general, what happens is we have recording secretaries. The recording secretary sends a draft set of the minutes to the clerk. Clerk reviews them, says, yep, makes sense, sends them to Christie. Christie then gets them posted for you.
In years past, they used to have to write the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And in years past, they used to have to record. And some boards do that.
Yeah, okay. Great,
We're in the 21st century now, so.
yes, we are. All right, thank you very much. Do I have any nominations for clerk?
And I'm going to Patrick Hudson for clerk.
Second.
Excellent. Is there any further nominations? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so now we want to appoint 3 members to the White River Valley Supervisory Union Board. I do believe that the chair is kind of a required seat in that appointment. And then we look for 2 others. Is that correct?
Not required anymore because there's no
It's
more
not
executive
required.
board
Okay.
when we changed our bylaws. So it could be 3 different
It
members.
could be
And
any 3
actually,
members.
Stratford it's not the chair
Okay.
anymore.
Okay, good to know. All right, so this is by appointment. So I will happily volunteer again.
I nominate Amy.
Thank you. Do we don't actually have to?
If you can do this by consensus, because they're appointments, you don't actually have to motion vote, but if there's disagreement, then there should be.
Absolutely. Okay. Is anybody else willing to volunteer to be a member? This is a voting member, so we definitely get called upon when there's a time that we are making significant voting at the board. Bill?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, I need one more member to volunteer.
I won't show up all the time.
Okay. So the SU board meetings are every
The 4th Tuesday.
the 4th Tuesday.
Typically.
And they are in person, but they're also virtual, and the majority of board members come virtually, which is which, I don't know, I find it a lot more accessible at that point.
Our attendance is
Yeah.
way better.
Way better. So also, even if you're not an appointed member, which is a voting member, everybody is welcome to come to the SU meetings at any point. It's just when it comes to voting. What about one of our new members? Are they willing to throw their hat in to sit in at our SU level? Again, it is pretty accessible with being on Zoom.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Robin. Wonderful. I appreciate that. Now, we need to appoint alternates. How many do we get?
Some boards would do the other 3.
Okay, well, because it is a voting position and I want us to always have representation, if I could put your other 3 names down as alternates?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Do we want to vote on that slate?
Well, it's by appointment, so we actually don't have to vote.
Okay.
We have appointed Amy, Bill, and Robin as members, and Patrick, Joshua, and Robert. See, couldn't come up with your name either. Okay, so we want to appoint a recording secretary. That's a new one.
Well, you should.
Oh, down here, okay. I see, it was just, I have my minutes from last year.
It's a different spot.
Is Parker still available as?
I
or do
think
we have to do-
Misha's been doing it for you. Parker has not been able to keep up.
Right.
He's doing so many different meeting minutes.
Yeah, whoever's
So
available.
Misha
Still. Okay,
has been doing it. It tends to come out of the tech department.
sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, well, we appoint Misha Spittle as our recording secretary. 3.7, appoint one member for signing AP and payroll. I have been doing it and I actually do enjoy doing it. So I'm willing to volunteer for that one.
Do it.
Okay.
Is that done at the school?
It is actually done virtually at this point. They send me, basically a rundown of what is the bills that are being paid. And since I have been doing it for so long, I'm very familiar with what they are. And at any point, I need to see, any backup as to what those invoices would be for. I request them and they're able to send them right to me. It is nice because they also, it's an electronic sign too, so I think it has dramatically sped up getting bills paid.
Yes.
Whereas before you used to have a whole packet that you'd have to go through and then sign and get back to the person, so.
I was just asking because I live right across the street from the school, so if someone needed to go there, I could.
Okay, that is good to know, so we will definitely, there are times where there's other paperwork that needs to maybe be get around, so that is really great to know. But we do need to appoint an alternate for signing AP and payroll in case I'm unavailable. Anybody volunteer? Again, it's all digital basically, so fairly easy, Patrick.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, now we need to appoint a member to the Negotiations Council. Bill, you have been a blessing on that council before. And
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'll continue with the will of the board.
I would appreciate that. Is that agreeable to everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. We need to appoint a member to the Policy Committee.
Can you still do that?
Yeah, it's just, it usually ends up being the same day as practices. So when soccer starts up, I typically will miss it. And then same thing with skiing and stuff, so that's why it's difficult, but I will do my very best.
Okay. Well, and also maybe as we go along, one of our new members you can take them under your wing and
Yeah,
get them up to,
join in.
get them comfortable with
Sure.
it. Because I know sometimes it's just a little daunting trying to be the new person on the block.
We can share it.
Yes,
We can
okay.
share the load.
Thank you, Patrick.
Reference to me, absolutely.
All right, appoint one member to the Superintendent Evaluation Committee.
Can you speak a little bit about that, what that is?
I cannot
Bill's
go,
been on
can you?
Yeah, the SU board, our superintendent, Jamie, reports to the SU board. That's the supervisory board that has representation. We've got our people from each district, the 6 districts. Key roles of the evaluation committee is to conduct an annual evaluation of the superintendent. That's done through a model and support of the Vermont School Board Association. And part of that includes polling or surveying all school board members within the White River Valley Supervisory Union. And as well as his immediate staff. So we evaluate that, and evaluation goes to the SU board. The other key role is that the superintendent works with the committee to establish his goals for the subsequent year. And those goals go to the SU board as well. And the SU board also sets its own goals, and the important thing is to have those goals in mesh and sync moving forward. So that's, it's not an enormous time commitment. This usually happens, what are we talking about? This,
Well,
early now in
yeah, we
February.
changed the timeline, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. So it really is, it starts usually in about late October and we conclude in January.
There you go.
Okay.
Is this something
Thank you.
Continue to do, Bill?
Yeah, I like it.
Well, then I would like to appoint Bill. Is that something he's interested in? Thank you, Bill. Okay, to appoint members to the RSUD Endowment Committee. Current members are myself, Bill, and Robert. I would like to continue to be on the Endowment Committee. I enjoy it.
I'll continue.
Okay.
I'll join you. Okay.
Okay, appoint a truant officer. I believe we appointed Lindy last year.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask that you add Windsor County Sheriff.
Oh, absolutely.
So the principal sets in Windsor County Sheriff, just because if we need to file actual educational neglect, it's helpful to have their help.
I agree. And what's,
Is this work sort of as a home to school liaison type to get kids back to school?
No, this is actually in statute. This is if the school needs to actually take legal action around educational neglect.
Okay, thank you.
Which we do have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I taught for 29 years. I'm very well versed.
But I would be more than happy to go into the proactive work we're trying to do with some of our mental health providers and pediatricians around that liaison piece.
great, thank you. Lindy and the Windsor County Sheriff. 3.14, designate a newspaper or radio station for official notices. Our local newspaper is the Randolph Herald.
White River Valley here.
Is that what they call it? Okay, thank you for clarifying that, the White River Valley Herald. And I see that as most appropriate, unless anybody has any. Okay. And then the radio station we had before was the Great Eastern Radio, which.
Kind of covers multiple
Right.
local stations.
Okay. Great, I think we should go ahead with those ones. That's agreeable to everyone.
What was the,
It's the Great Eastern Radio.
It's like got multiple stations within it.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay, so.
Different genres too.
Right, so that's important, right? Like, the people who listen to country are gonna get our updates, right? Okay, so, set a date, time, and location of our regular board meetings. Traditionally, we have, swapped every month our board meetings, Rochester one month, Stockbridge the next. I, would think we should continue that. I think it's, just fair for people living in different locations. The date is the first Monday of the month. That seems to work with our rest of our SU schedule and all their meetings. We had moved to an earlier meeting at one point, but due to to a 5:30 meeting. But due to one of our board members' conflicts, we had to push it later. I don't know if anybody is interested in returning to the 5:30 time slot, or
I would.
does that work for you still?
Well, it gives me a little more time with you, actually,
Right.
because Granville Hancock likes to start at 6:30.
Right, so
So it gives me a full hour before I go there for that half hour.
Yeah.
I just feel like at times this year, I felt like our budget, I felt like some things it tied us up a little bit. I don't know if you felt that way.
Well, I did. It was like, we'll wait for that
I think if we
update.
have that full hour, I have found it's working better.
How does that sound with the rest
Yeah,
of the board,
let's
5:30?
do it.
And Robin?
That works for me.
Okay, it's great. So we'll do the first Monday of the month, alternating between locations, Rochester and Stockbridge, and we'll have it at 5:30. Great. All right, designate posting places. Our current posting places are the Rochester Post Office, the Stockbridge and Gaysville Post Office, the Rochester Town Office, the Stockbridge Town Office, the Rochester campus and the Stockbridge campus, and that it totally gets all of our bases, right? Is there, and is it posted on our,
Website.
and is posted on our website, which is digital another, is specific requirement?
It's a requirement now.
Yes, it is, let's figure that, okay. So I think we should continue with all those locations, if that works for everyone. Great, okay. Adopt Robert's rules for small boards. That was included in your packet, and we are aware that the Robert's rules for small boards are just kind of a little bit more relaxed than the full Robert's rules. You know, some specifics, board members don't have to stand to speak or to be recognized by the chair. We can also discuss a subject informally before a motion is made, so a motion doesn't have to be pending for us to informally discuss the topic. So I suggest that our board continue to use the Robert's rules for small boards, and that we adopt that tonight.
I so move.
Second.
Aye.
Any further discussion? No discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, that is our board reorganization. Move on to consent agenda. I look for a motion to approve the minutes from our last regular board meeting, Monday, April 7th. They're included in your packet.
So, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is the board ready to approve the minutes from our annual meeting, May 6th? If not, we can table this until next.
I haven't had a chance.
Okay, I have not had a chance to look at it either, so if anybody, has anybody?
Yeah, and I had some things just to clarify,
Okay,
which I could share. I don't know whether, my sense is that Jamie would like us to sign off on this if we can. So everything was fine. I did want to have an edit in Article 11 on the second page at the bottom. Transacting any other business, which may be legally. In the third bullet, it's written, someone commented that Janet Whitaker is retiring, and that person was Beth Dowley, D-A-W-L-E-Y, and I think we should have her name there, since we know it. And I'd like to add, because I was there, that there was a standing applause in honor of Janet's role and impact she had on our school and schools over the years. So that's one edit, if that's okay. And then the second one on the last bullet, well, on that page, someone commented, there's a new program. And that person is Julie Groppe. Her husband used to be on this board and a chair of this board. And there's a family that continues to give back to their community of Stockbridge. And so Julie Groppe commented that there's a new program for Stockbridge residents. It's called Stockbridge Child Care. Parents with children ages newborn to 3 years old are eligible for a $3,000 child care subsidy, and I want to insert per year. And that money would be coming from one of the endowments that the Stockbridge Trustees of Public Funds manage. And then it goes on, parents with children older than 3 until 10 are eligible for $1,500 stipend, and that again is per year from the Stockbridge Trustees of Public Funds. There's no income requirement, only qualification is to have a child that age, be a legal resident of Stockbridge, that's true. But I want to also add that each child has, depending on their age, and they stick with us would be eligible for up to a maximum of $19,500 per child,
Nice.
contingent on funding.
Yeah.
So, and just to let the people that aren't aware of it, the Stockbridge Trustees of Public Funds, this is a way to encourage young families to move to Stockbridge and welcome them, and because the future of our community is in our young families. We have a program that was established in 2020 called a High School Graduate Award, and when a Stockbridge student graduates from high school, they get a $500 award. And then they are also eligible for a scholarship. And that scholarship pays $100 per credit up to a total amount of $9,600. So now you've got two bookends.
Oh, that's
We've got
really cool.
the pre-K elementary, we've got the high school graduate award. Whether they go on or not, we wanted to honor them and their parents for what they've accomplished so far, and then you've got the scholarship. So that's not part of the minutes, but I just wanted to
Okay.
explain that because I think that's really exciting, and it complements what we're trying to do here as
Oh,
a school,
absolutely.
is to have the best little school around. And so I'll leave it at that, but so-
I agree with those edits. This is a document that gets published in our book next year, so I think as much clarity as possible is correct to do. So with those changes, is the rest of the board ready to approve these minutes, or do we want to wait till next?
No, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
great. There's a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? So the motion was made to approve minutes with the changes that Bill just mentioned. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Great. We will move on to public comment. Hearing no public comment, we'll move on to board comment. Is that what you want to talk about? No, you said
No,
later.
I think you can do it under the annual town meeting.
Okay, sending board comment? All right, hearing none, let's move on to the best part of our meeting, the celebration of learning.
So tonight we have Miss G here, and Miss G graciously moved from literacy interventionist and stepped in to fill our first and second grade position in November here in Rochester. And for the past, 2 months, through a couple of different classes, both literacy, art, and even some humanities, the kids have been doing these great research projects. And I'm gonna let Miss G tell you more about, and they presented them today to all the different classes. So Ms. G, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Well, hi, everyone. Again, I'm Linda Gendro, and I'm the first and second grade teacher at Rochester. And I love this unit. It's my favorite unit to teach. I put my theme around Africa, and students love animals and love African animals. So because they have to do they do have to do a research project as required. So I always give them a list of animals, but they can always pick their own. Some of them, like this year, I ended up getting a viper, which is not my favorite animal because I'm not a fan of snakes. But one student wanted to do a viper, so he got to do it. But usually I give them a list of animals and they pick from them. I also had a wonderful experience this year too with the 6th grade at Rochester was actually my second grade students that did reports. So I ended up having the experience of them talking to my first and second graders. They got to share the reports that they had done when they were in second grade. So that was part of the learning experience too. But what I usually do for this project is it's really difficult to teach paragraphs to a first and second grader. What I usually do is just break it down, give them, an introduction, where it lives, what it looks like, what it eats, and then a conclusion. And what they do is by breaking this apart, they get to write sentences for each part, and then they put it together. And it's amazing to see the looks on their faces when it does go together. Um, because they're looking at the other kids' reports and they're like, I won't be able to write that much. But when you break it down for a first and second grader, it's much easier. Finding the research, they got to watch videos. I had a wonderful collaboration with a librarian who helped them get some sites appropriate for first and second graders so they could find research and stuff. So it's a wonderful project. I just love doing it because there's a lot of collaboration. For doing each paragraph too, I also give them certain questions that they can answer. For example, if they're talking about where it lives, they obviously say it lives in Africa, but I also say, well, what's its habitat? How does it live in where it's dry? Does it live where, what does it need for its habitat? And so then again, they put it all together. They get to share a Google Doc with me, which is a very wonderful experience for them too, because I can type and they can see me typing with them. So I can help them. It's great for us to work together because sometimes they are having a hard time typing, but they really, really, as first and second graders, want to type their own report. But I do assist with them. So then we put it all together. They put a picture on there, so they get a chance to, on the Google Doc, to insert a picture. Again, that's very exciting for them. And then this year, I had the wonderful experience of working with Nicole Lilly, who was the art teacher, who helped me with the projects, because not only do they do the writing part, now they're doing the habitat, and they made dioramas for their animal. And Miss Lily also had them make ceramic animals. So it's really fun project. So they get to do the writing part, and then they get to do a nice project that goes with it. So it's really exciting.
You actually walked by
Show them to
their,
the parents today.
so they walked by your reports earlier, because she does have them up on the bulletin board. In the
I do.
hall.
I have a bulletin board, and then they like I said, they showed them to their parents today. So we did have a little presentation for them to show their project and also their writing. And again, for them to write 5 paragraphs as a first and second grader, they are like, they really, at the beginning, they look at me and they go, I'm not going to be able to do that. So it's really wonderful to see how excited they are about it.
Great. And then I think there's some pictures of their dioramas, which Nicole also featured in Art and Soul. So they were also at the Art and Soul. That was the SU-wide event. This is kind of the beginning phase, because that snake had a lot more things in it today. And then this was them kind of presenting.
Yep, that was in the gym today.
Linda, that's so exciting. You hit so many skills: the close reading, the oral skills, the presentations, the writing skills, the text skills, the art. It's just a wonderful, wonderful project.
I also forgot to mention too, while they're writing too, they do peer conferencing. Like they will read parts of their report to their peers, and then someone might say, "Oh, how about this?" So they help each other too. It's conferencing with me, but it's also conferencing with their peers. So yeah, it is a wonderful project. That's why I love it so much. It's them working together, and it's me working with other teachers too, because there's great collaboration. I had to collaborate with the librarian. I had to collaborate with the art teacher. So that's what I love about it, is us all working together.
I do love the projects that are across disciplines. I just feel that kids get it. You know, when you get something hands-on, that hands-on kid gets it, you know, and just hitting them from every angle. So wonderful, this is great. I'm happy that they responded well to it as well, something that they were excited about. They'll definitely remember this.
Yeah. Well, one of the comments that I also want to make to you guys is that one time I told them they were working on their reports and they said, "Oh, good. We don't have to work today." Because I didn't think it was work.
I love it.
I was like, okay. So it's funny because I said, "You're working on your reports." "Oh, we don't have to work today." Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent.
you.
Thank you so much. This is really wonderful. Is there any other questions or comments for Linda?
Yeah. Anyone?
No, it's really a wonderful project and it's really great to see, and I'm glad you're able to do that with them.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. G.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay. Excellent. So we'll move on to the reports to the board. Superintendent's report.
My report's not that intriguing as a celebration of learning. I mean, you know, H454, we're going to talk about it later, so I'll kind of keep those updates to that as a discussion item.
Yep.
That's continuing to move incredibly quickly in regards to changes and revisions, but I'll get the latest version under that discussion item. Otherwise, I would say I had a really nice time doing coffee and conversations in Stockbridge and Rochester over the last few weeks. They were well attended. I think folks were appreciative that we were able to offer those. I'm on the road back with Mary Shell next week, but more onto the eastern part of the SU. You know, I say we got the western part of the eastern part, so I'll be more on the east side. But I will continue to share out those opportunities with families as we're hosting them. The other thing that I just wanted to highlight there is just in regards to federal Department of Education updates. I just wanted to be really clear in regards to Title VI certification processes. Secretary Saunders did change her approach to certification of Title VI. There's nothing we're going to be required to do locally. We've always complied with Title VI in regards to what's written into law. There's the administration's interpretation of Title VI, which is the civil rights title in statute in regards to executive order. I think Vermont did a really nice job as a state saying we've always certified that we comply with Title VI. We would have already certified that we complied with Title VI, and that the executive order is changing the definition actually of Title VI. So that's going to be a legal battle that's going to get played out in the courts. But just wanted to be clear to folks, nothing's changed in the work that we do with diversity, equity, and inclusion at RSU, and I would say across the state. And in regards to concerns about that affecting federal funding, a bunch of those concerns that were included in executive orders coming up in regards to the federal Department of Ed have been caught up in the courts thus far, and that they've been put on hold, meaning that those no organizations have had funding in regards to education, in regards to compliance. Right now, that's not a concern. Okay. And it's also important for folks to know in regards to federal funding, our title funds are forward facing, meaning that those title funds for next year, Title I, II, III, and IV, have already been approved because they're forward facing in regards to the budgeting process that happens at the federal level. So I have no concerns about the budget we just passed and how title funding or IDA or IDAB may be impacted for the coming year. What we got to really focus on is the upcoming budget cycle in regards to the federal budget process and what that might mean moving past next year into 27. That's the focus. So if folks, I wanted to share that with the board in case folks are coming to you saying, I'm really concerned about our title funds or revenue. I'm not concerned about FY '26. I think what we really need to pay attention to is the budget process that's already started, that's gonna play out in the coming months, and that's what could impact FY '27. And it continues to be my biggest concern is Medicaid funding. I shared this at the Coffee and Conversations. We generate Medicaid revenue as an SU in regards to services we provide, and that's offsetting revenue to some of our mental health services we provide across the SU, our nurses. So we budget that locally as an offsetting revenue to provide those services. Even more importantly is our partnership with Claire Martin Center utilizes Medicaid funding matches in order for us to provide services at a contracted rate that allows us to have additional resources, right? So what I mean by this is we're able to contract a behavioral specialist in, the 40,000, mid 40 range, where if we were to, and that comes with support from Claire Martin around supervision, around a board certified behavioral analyst, like a lot of supports as far as their teams, but they're able to build down Medicaid to allow us to have a full-time employee at that rate, where we know health insurance alone for anybody we hire is in the upper 30s. The other thing I would say to you at the state level that's not going to get caught underneath 454 is and it was a headline in Digger here in the last few days, I continue to be really concerned about our state's infrastructure around medicine and health. So meaning I'm really concerned about a lot of our smaller regional hospitals and how they're going to be able to withstand shortfalls in revenue. And I'm also incredibly concerned that Blue Cross Blue Shield is struggling mightily and running some major deficits. And so there's a lot of talk at the state level around school sustainability, but I actually think probably the crisis that's staring us right in the face in the state is actually in regards to health care, in regards to hospital infrastructure, if you look at our region alone, right, like Gifford has offices in almost all of our towns. Gifford is struggling mightily right now financially. And so if Gifford was to close, then what we're talking about is where is the nearest healthcare for our students, right? And so we've been talking about that same thing with schools, right? If you want to put a student on a bus for 2 hours, like how are we going to make certain that our students get the care that they need? So there's some major conversations that in regards to Montpelier, in regards to the trajectory of our state. And what I mean by trajectory is how do we ensure that we have viable communities across our state and that we don't become a state where there's, multiple towns where there's not a lot of, frankly, first homeowners because there's no services to provide for those folks. And so not to be doom and gloom, but I would say it's a really, I see it as a major concern in regards to healthcare and education around supporting rural community healthcare and rural community schools.
Absolutely. Is there any other questions for Jamie on his superintendent's report? And he will be updating us further on the agenda on the each 454.
Meanwhile, I think there's lots of great things happening in our schools. We continue to celebrate them and our successes. And that is clear when we have coffee and conversations. Like the folks are proud of their schools. Folks are happy with what's happening. Yes, we need to continue to work hard every day to improve, but I think we're heading in the right direction. So, it's just the quicker that the session could end, frankly, I think in Montpelier right now, maybe the better in some ways. So that we can just get focused on doing our work, in regards to, the education thing, we'll talk in a little bit, but Montpelier's been mucking with education now for over a decade. And I'd like to let our principals and teachers just focus on teaching and not worrying about whether our schools are going to close.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Jamie. Maybe we'll move on to our principal's report.
Do you have my report in front of you? I apologize, it was a little bit late. Yes, last week was, I don't think I sat much, which is okay. we've had a busy kind of like ebb and flow with April vacation kind of smack in the middle. But things are great. The exciting things I will share is that May 22nd here at 5:30 is our spring music concert, which will be preschool through 6th grade.
We're here in Stockbridge.
Here in Rochester in the auditorium. So I hope folks can join us for that. If you can't come in the evening, you're more than welcome to muddle through rehearsal with us during the day. If you would like, you're always welcome for that. That starts at about 9 a.m. on the 22nd, but will be a great day where both campuses will be together for a majority of the day. I'll also share that on June 4th in Stockbridge, we will have our annual field day where both groups of kids are together.
Nice.
It's a great treat.
It is a great treat. They really enjoy it. It's quite the carrot right now for kiddos. They're excited. They're learning the games in PE class.
Okay.
And my favorite might be kindergarten. Like if you've been with us for preschool for 2 years, you like have watched the older kids do field day because they do their own
I have
mini one.
memories of field day.
And so I've had kindergartners be like, how many more days till field day?
Yeah.
Is it tomorrow? No, we got a little bit, but
They're excited about it.
they're very excited, which is cool to experience. And then both campuses will have groups going to see Charlotte's Web at the Pentangle at the end of the month. So some classrooms have been doing that as a read aloud, so now they're all gonna get to go see it live. And then I'll just highlight, I don't think I put it in there, but we have had a really successful partnership with the Gifford Pediatrics to the point that it's like 9 to 10 kids every time.
Nice.
They come to visit, which is every other Wednesday. Sometimes we combine it to one Wednesday based on time of year. And we have already discussed that we will do at least one, if not two, before school starts. So kiddos who might need sports physicals and things like that before fall sports start. Because some of our older kiddos might need that, but not able to get to the pediatrician.
Nice.
And then the lovely trailer out front is our dental health hub. So today she had a full
Good.
slate, yes,
Okay.
full slate of kiddos join her for dental cleaning.
Because both of those programs are just phenomenal to have in the valley here,
It's been
just
great.
for access. And I hope that we continue to try to gather as many kids into these programs as we can, just because I think every family struggles, with getting their kids to the dentist.
Hard, yeah,
I mean,
it's hard.
it's just every family, there's
Yeah.
no
Great.
secret, yeah, great.
Any
What was
questions?
the time of the spring concert?
5:30 on the 22nd.
Excellent. Is there any other questions or comments for, yes, Bill?
Couple of questions and a comment. The question is, I don't know, ask Lindy or Patrick, but what's donkey basketball?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I should have highlighted it.
I'm oldie and
Let me get pictures of our dear principal on a donkey.
I made it.
Awesome.
I made it and everybody else made it without any injury. A strong conversation in the pregame, like you can't call out Monday because you fall off the body.
It's not Lindy, but that is a picture of, it is.
It's 3v3 and you ride a donkey and you play basketball. That's just- Actually,
A real donkey.
in the gym.
Yeah, they were wearing little booties so that they would protect the
that's
gym
good.
floor.
Yeah.
It was,
And my donkey was
There's-
Big Mac.
there's
Did not
Lindy
bear
right
it.
there.
I was like, it was a great fundraiser, but more importantly, I think it is probably something we will keep doing in the future because it's just a great community event.
Absolutely, I mean,
It brought standing from like
overwhelmingly, yeah.
every generation, the Rochester Fire Department
Yeah.
participated, we had local businesses. We'll have to bring this Janet back out of retirement to help people like mount up, because
There you
that's definitely a thing.
You can even maybe do sponsorship next time too.
They did do sponsorship,
Okay, they did.
so, they made, both sixth grades made over $3,000.
Whoa, that's so great to hear.
So,
Wow.
Trip.
That's
for
really
their,
good.
for their trip and then
Boston.
some.
Maybe they'll
I'm like, we're going shopping. I was
Maybe
like,
they'll
"Yeah."
drift it down or.
Right, they have a couple projects, each group has a couple projects that they wanna do as like a sixth grade grade class. Something other one, the group here wants to do like a human foosball court. So they've researched the specs to be able to do that. And then the group in Stockbridge really wants to support the gardening effort that a group of parents
That's
has really been
wonderful.
supporting. So we had to have a conversation. Today it's not a shopping spree. Like you're going to Boston to learn, not to shop. But it was very exciting. So thank you to everyone that came out. And if you'd like to ride next year, let me know. We can put a school board team together.
Well, if you nominate you, that's great. What's the Echo Museum? I should know, but what is Echo?
It's the Leahy Echo Museum. It's up on Lake Champlain. I'm not sure I know exactly what each letter stands for.
It's in Berlin.
It's in Burlington. It's a hands-on science museum.
Science Museum.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, with lake though too.
Like aquatic
A lot of
focus, yeah.
And finally, Green Up Day at the Stockbridge Central School, we were organized in the porch of the Stockbridge Community Meals. And I had the opportunity to meet, is it Ms. Kelly, the chef?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And because she was doing work with Stockbridge Central Schools and everything else, like we had a long talk and I was just so impressed with her. And she said, well, why don't you come over and have a meal? And now I've been on the board for 4 years now. I didn't know that we were invited, so I got the school lunch menu made thanks to your
perfect.
newsletter. And this Thursday, I gotta check the time, they're having mac and cheese and as well as barbecue pork, but mac and cheese is the favorite. She says she has the #1 recipe for mac and cheese. And so I wanted, if you're looking for something to do,
Wonderful.
but when do they serve anyway?
She serves at noon, both
Noon.
groups eat
Okay.
at noon.
And it appears here that community members can come and either have breakfast or lunch, and you pay a small amount, and you're surrounded by all these wonderful kids. So I just wanted to say, wow, and I've highlighted mac and cheese this Thursday at
Might be
noon.
a little loud,
See you
but
there.
it'll
Are
be
you
fun.
gonna be there?
You betcha.
Well, good, because I won't freak out the kids with this old man with a hat. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, thank you, Val. Great, is there any other comments, or questions for Lindy? Great, we'll move on to our business manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. You have my report, which outlines what's happening in the business office during the month of May. It's not nearly as exciting as all the other fun things that are happening. But I'll entertain any questions if there are any.
If I may say, I've had comments on how excellent your presentation was at the school meeting.
Thank you.
I think you got it on applause too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard many compliments as well, so that's great, thank you very much.
Thank you
Great,
all.
so if there's no questions for our business manager, we'll move on to the policy committee. First reading of revised policies C21 and F23.
So C21, we cleaned up, there was some redundancy in the searches of school property language in regards to talking about school property and what would be searched, essentially restated it twice in those opening paragraphs. Then we add the citation in regards to the first paragraph and search and seizure of student and student property. And then we wanted to clarify that cell phones could be seized in regards to being a violation within the student handbook about not having cell phones on students' property, but that they're not searched, right? Like we don't take students' cell phones and search them.
Okay.
And so that was.
They're
cell
not allowed
phones-
to have phones?
well, probably here too, but
Yeah.
certainly at the middle and high school.
They're
most of our
supposed to check
cell
them in
phones
per the
procedures
handbook.
are-
They're supposed to check.
How does that go?
Well, there's some sixth graders who have had some hard lessons.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting.
They're, for the most part, they're pretty good. It's about this time of year where we really have to say, no, up to the front office.
And those procedures are a little different across the SU. It's something the policy committee at some point we may want to discuss about a policy. What I've said to the admin team, it's not something I've introduced because my sense is that the legislature is actually going to have a bill, possibly like New York just had, around banning cell phones in schools. And so that has been an introduced bill even last year in Montpelier, and it's got more traction this year. So my sense is that may be a bill within education that will come out.
Especially with bullying now too, it's like, there's 8 hours that they don't have that phone on them and they're not on social media, you know?
That's the biggest change in regards to C21, the revision to the capitalization of assets policy. Federal guidance allowed us under section 3 to increase that value from 5,000 to 10,000. So that's the only change.
So you're looking for,
This is just the first reading, so it'll be action at the June meeting for all the boards. If we are able to pull off that wagon wheel meeting, we'll get these two done. So
for our new members, this is the first reading. Read through it. If there is anything you have a question about, any changes, you would direct to Patrick or to Jamie, who would take it back to the policy committee.
Policy committee essentially meets once a month, or is it twice?
once a month, sometimes twice.
Yeah, and review current policies and update them with relevance to the time we're in, things that are relevant. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
And so this is the time for the rest of the boards to look at it and know what the policy committee is doing, and if they have any comments to talk it over before we have a second reading and then possibly a vote to adopt these policies, so. Thank you.
yeah, I think Jamie's made it a priority. Not only do we have policies, but we want to keep them up to date.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And so the policy committee's gone through quite a few in the last few years. The goal here is to inform the boards what our policies are.
Yeah.
They're in writing. And not that we know them all, but they're posted on the SU website. And I think an outline of that is in the new board members' mentor notebook. The other thing is that with policies, we don't have to wing it. You know, something that comes up, we're not sure, sounds like we should. No, we've got policies. So the policies gives us a framework, a way to move ahead in a careful, precise, legal, consistent manner. And obviously we lean heavily on the superintendent and our principals. But so this is part of that process that we've been going through, and it's very, very impressive. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll move on to Community Engagement Task Force update.
So we met 2 Thursdays ago, and I would share that we finalized the family survey that went out to families shortly after. We meet again this Thursday, and it will mostly be spent around data review. We also extended the community survey timeline for feedback to Wednesday as well, just to provide more opportunity for people to give feedback.
Good.
And then we built a faculty survey that we'll finalize on Thursday as well.
Well, I have to say, I got the card in the mail, and I said, wow, we're in the 21st century here, like, this is great. Yeah, the QR code, and just, it was accessible and easy, so. And so, thank you. Thank you for the committee for doing that. That's great. And so the committee meets again on?
Thursday at
This Thursday.
5 in Stockbridge.
Okay.
Yeah, this Thursday.
And you got that on your calendar, Robert? Great, thank you.
Yes, usually does last time.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there any other questions on that?
I just want to say, this is part of a very important building block. We're developing as a board kind of a strategic plan, how we
Yes.
move forward. And it's very important for us to hear from the community. And so we've got this committee, and through this survey, we're going to have, they're going to give us the results of the survey, which will evaluate and analyze when we go further into our strategic planning process this next school year. So it's a very important building block, and they've done a lot of work on this.
Absolutely. Great, thank you.
Okay, discussion, follow-up regarding annual town meeting and FY '26 budget vote.
I just
Yes,
I'm
Bill?
sorry. I had a conversation after the meeting from the Stockbridge town moderator, and he suggested, because he, even though you could find it, he had a tough time reading the our annual report, which seats were open. And so if you looked, and you could find out who the members are because we signed the warrant. But the town, each town in Stockbridge is not unusual. They have a listing of everybody that is in an appointed or elected position by their organization or their the committee, and then their term. When the term,
Yeah, I think that's a very good
so-
point.
I'm not suggesting we do this, but adopt something like that that we could put in here.
It's
so
right
that
on the
this-
website, we can cut and paste.
I think, and I think it's helpful.
But not everybody does.
No, I'm saying like to make the book, we just
We
literally
can put-
copy and paste.
And I think it's also helpful for us to know when our term is up, you
Well,
know? when
I'm not the
everybody's-
only one then.
Yeah. No, I know what one year we did indeed have that in our book, but I think that that would be,
I'll pass it down to Jamie.
I
So
think
you've
that would be
seen
helpful
this before.
to indeed have.
Don't worry about
And
my
again,
12, but-
not only the board members, but the other elected officials, the clerk, the treasurer. Just because there was a little confusion at the beginning, somebody was trying to, possibly nominate somebody for the wrong position. He came up to me afterwards and said that that's what he was going for the wrong position. Okay. Great. So I wanted to, this book was beautiful this year. It was really nice, great pictures, great color, our charts are, these pie charts are just so important, really show, where the money, where we have control and don't have control, and it's great reports. I am always striving to make this not as costly as it is for us to produce. It costs about $500 to ship it, to mail it to everybody. It costs about $6,000 to print it. So I would love to just have a conversation. I mean, we have this new mailing that had a QR code. I don't know if there's a way we can have it offered online. We can send out, like way ahead of time in like January cards to say, if you want to get a printed copy,
Call.
return this card or call or click here, so that maybe people, we can offer it online and we can have a QR code that gets sent out at the time. And then people who really want a printed version, we can then maybe send a more targeted printed version. Or maybe the feedback will be everybody really wants it and we just keep going
I
as
have
it
a
is.
feeling if you wrote on the new QR code what we're saving, you wouldn't get any problems from anyone.
Right, and we
No,
can
yeah.
always have them available at the.
We can absolutely do a QR code. Town of Sharon actually does that for their town
Okay,
book. The school board hasn't wanted to do it.
That's interesting.
Part of what we're focused on, and all the school boards are focused on in the SU, is communication and outreach.
Mhm.
And we want to attract families and keep families and keep the kids within our school system. And I happen to believe that if you're not directly involved with the school system, your number one thing is money. It's too expensive. This is one opportunity we have, and we've also had that summer SU, what would you call that? The newsletter, that we can tell our story. And I totally agree with Amy that this is attractive and it gets you to open up the things. And if you don't read everything, you can you can at least see what's on the warrant, and in that case, my gosh, our cost per student went down almost 1%. So I agree on that it's costly, but it's costly if we have voters that are not informed or are not informed, and where their information comes from is not reliable. The information here is reliable. I'd like to suggest that the endowment committee look at the possibility of help, of funding part of that, so that,
Well, let's try to reduce the
so-
overall cost more than.
because I'm flabbergasted, because that's the number one product we have in the cost. And you'd think people would be all over that. And
I just also,
so I'm, that's,
The amount of
the
these-
story is discuss it further.
yeah, I would just like to continue to discuss it, because the amount of these that I picked out of the recycling in the Rochester post office, the day that I got mine, I picked out 8 that day. And that was one time that I went, and I went early in the morning. And I was not able to go back in subsequent days, because I usually do. And
So people are just tossing them?
people are just tossing them. I have in the past had them grab them for me, because I just wanted to see, and it's an amazing amount that were just getting thrown out. And so those are the people I was trying to address, the people who are not looking at it. Yes, go ahead.
What if we developed like a trifold, like a pamphlet with the highlights of what the meeting will have, along with the QR code? And this way, it can say, if you want more information, you can go here, or you can request a document that can be part of it. But then the trifold can say, like, the bullet points, and maybe a few pictures. And that way, it's only one piece of paper that we're mailing out, and not a big booklet.
I like that. That's it.
Robert?
I would be cautious about reducing communication, as has been pointed out.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that this is like, here are the highlights, and here's a way to find out more.
In the past, certainly in the past, and also at the town level, we used to only mail to, instead of mailing to everybody, just mailing to registered voters. One, is that still legal? And two, that's a far smaller number.
It's more expensive per mailing the moment you put on a
Right.
label.
So what this got a label, and so it costs $2.59 to ship it. Whereas when it just goes, when it just goes to resident occupant, it is at
It's a bulk mailing rate.
it's a
so
bulk
that
mailing rate.
So the difference is,
I would need to add,
Over $1.50. You have to do it online now. It's significantly cheaper. It's like maybe $1.
I think it's less than
and
that.
how many
It's
did you
probably
print?
even less.
Well,
Over
it was
1,000.
1,015 that went out. That were printed, let me put it that
So
way.
were these sent out bulk rate or not?
So this one was not, because it has a label on it. This one was not. But, so there is a small number of our residents who do not receive their mail in the Stockbridge, so we cannot just put Stockbridge resident occupant or Rochester resident occupant. They get their mail in Pittsfield, they get their mail in Killington, they get their mail in Bethel. And so those people have to have, Lindsay got the list from the Stockbridge Town Clerk and printed out labels, and they spent the time to put the labels on. It does increase the price of the mailing though, putting the labels on. And I do definitely hear your point, Bill, about the communications, and we definitely don't want to reduce communications, but there may be a hybrid way that we can indeed do a smaller pamphlet. But with the encouragement on it, if you want a full book, we have full books available.
That's what I was suggesting.
Available online, and it's also available in print.
But you'd still have printing
But we
costs.
wouldn't be
I mean,
printing
so-
1,000 of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's,
And you
maybe
still
a
have
couple
mailing
hundred,
costs.
maybe.
I would see that the
I would think that the amount that we printed would go down dramatically. I would say at least in half.
Way more than that.
So,
Think about the number of people that are showing up to the meeting.
Right.
You know, I mean, maybe twice that care to look at the book.
I know we want to move on, but just a couple of comments. One is that I think some statistics show that when people are happy, they don't necessarily show up. And one reason they can be happy is that they're educated and they have confidence in what we've done. Did we have a debate? Did we have one question about our budget? Well, one reason maybe we didn't was because all the answers are here, what Tara and Lindy and Jamie and the whole team put together. So frequently, if you're really pissed off, you go to the meeting and let people know. And so I think in some ways, it's a reflection of community confidence. Our budget over $5 million passed with, I guess, with one vote negative, but virtually unanimously. So that's an important building block. So we're not going to decide tonight here, but it's, I think it's a confidence builder, and quite honestly, I think we have a responsibility. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's explain why we need it and break it down to a level that if depending on how you go from macro to micro, people can get their answers. And so let's continue to talk about that.
What would be interesting that we could do on this book is there's 3 pages that require color plus the cover. And how much would it cost? What would have our price been different if we didn't get the whole thing printed in color?
You have to remember, it's how it lines up. I don't
That's
have.
okay. I wouldn't even like say, try to match it up. Just be like, here's 3 pages. We need those in color. I just would be interested. It could be very insignificant, or it could be significant, so.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard. I mean, I would say to the board too, when we talk about this again, is that I actually do tend to agree with Bill around over communication is better than under communicating. And it is a lot, but it is 6,000 of a almost, over a $5 million budget.
Mhm.
And if folks feel like at least they had the information and were provided it, I would just say, I've had other districts where people did not get the mail when they wanted it.
Okay.
And it resulted in, when you say upset people coming to meetings, they came invented because they didn't get the book.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Yes.
Just one quick point. I would go into it slowly of doing these extra things of postcards and alternative ways of looking at that, and put in that postcard, do you think here's how much it costs us, do we still need this to have everyone?
I'd bring it up in other business at your next annual.
Yeah, I
I
mean.
should have had that as the last question on the
Well,
survey.
it is
Do you
something-
find this survey, the system of surveying informative?
Yeah.
Well, I do like your idea, Robert, and maybe that is something that we like, we're gonna stay the course with this next year, but we're gonna get a survey out there about, what people think, or, something to that effect. All right, well, thank you for this discussion on it, and we definitely would like to discuss this, we'll discuss it again after we've thought about it a little bit. Is there anything else in regards to the meeting or the vote that we need to discuss? Great, we'll move on to legislative updates specific to H 454.
It's like Groundhog Day, right? I mean, we get good news, and I feel like we get not as good news. So I think where we're at with H 454 is it's essentially where it was in my last community letter that you all received. It's with Senate Finance. We expect Senate Finance to vote it out this week. I actually think there's a chance that the Alliance is going to be successful with getting the sparsity weights back in with Senate Finance. I'm also concerned, though, that there is going to be an introduction of language, once again, of not allowing supervisory unions to be a model within the governance structure And just to put that out there, this is really about the House does not support school choice. The House does not support school dollars going to independent schools. There are members of the House that are really upset that Senate Ed reintroduced supervisory union and choice back into the bill, because they see that supervisory union structure is only being provided to allow for school district choice, that it has nothing to do with anything besides that. That's not true, because when you create these larger, massive districts, it also results in depersonalized districts, whether you operate K-12 or not. Whitewater Unified District operates pre-K-12. If they become a district of 4,000, guess what? They're now in a much more centralized, depersonalized district in regards to decision-making forward. So here's just a quick version of the politics. Senate Finance is really upset that Senate Ed monkeyed with the weights that came out of H454 from the House. They're upset because they didn't believe that was Senate Ed's job to touch the weights, right? This is just politics, right? So with that said now, it appears to me that Senate Finance is saying, well, if you went ahead and monkeyed with the weights, we're the last ones to work on this bill before it goes in front of the Senate. We'll monkey with the governance.
Yep.
So to be determined. I mean, I gotta tell you, this could be the best case of everything, frankly, for us. It doesn't get reconciled. And I'm seeing this more and more. I don't know how this bill gets reconciled. It's probably gonna be a close margin vote. It's gonna end up being a bipartisan vote. I actually think, this was originally the governor's proposal. I actually think that if this vote's gonna end up following, much like you saw in the House version, with more rural House members and senators voting one way versus more urban. That's really where I see this bill landing. And then it's what the governor is going to sign. The governor has appeared to throw his backing behind the Senate version in regards to Senate Ed's version around governance, which you may find surprising. My sense is that if you were to look at a map of where Republican seats were picked up this past election cycle, a lot of those are areas across the state that are going to be incredibly upset if they lose their rural community town school, and upset in regards to these larger centralized district boards and less localized voice in decision making. So my sense is that politically that might be why there's a shift in regards to the governor's approach to school governance. At the end of the day, we have a funding issue, right? Like, that's really what this is about. And frankly, I think there's some folks that didn't feel like Act 46 took a big enough bite of the apple originally around governance, and they're now leveraging this opportunity to get centralized larger districts. Which again, not to make this political, but that's actually the Democratic caucus. That's where Act 46 came from. So that's where this is really a nuanced thing for the Alliance. They're working incredibly hard, but it's really trying to figure out who's supporting, smaller school districts, rural school districts. I also, as I've said to you before, they have a weight problem. There's a lot of larger, more urban school districts that are going to get hit pretty negatively with these weights, meaning they're going to lose revenue. And so I believe this is fact, but no one has said this, right? But if you look at what they're talking about with these districts, is that you take districts that are going to lose weights, you take districts that are going to gain revenue. We gain revenue, by the way, even with the Senate version. We gain revenue. Most all the districts across the SU. There's two. Stratford takes the biggest hit with they're right around 12%. Sharon gets about 1% less. But the rest of the districts gain revenue. Even with the Senate version, which is a base much lower than the House version. You take these districts like ours and you incorporate them with districts that are going to lose revenue, if you look at the map, a lot of them tend to be larger districts. You create opportunities to close smaller schools, which decreases what they believe the cost of education, because now we can close smaller schools, put kids on bus, lay teachers off, not have the infrastructure to run, and now we make up the difference for those weights. That is as simple, that's as straightforward a version as I can give you of what they're trying to do in regards to the sausage being made.
Crazy.
It's really redistricting maps to make the math work. It's incredibly sad because we're talking about students and our future, and beyond that, the future of our towns, right? So, I would say to you, I think joining the Alliance was a really important step we did. They're working incredibly hard. I did miss the 1 o'clock update call today with them, but I'll get an email update from them, from their advisory board. And we'll see. I mean, Senate Finance will be important. I will certainly get out a communication to families if I see Senate Finance start to monkey with the governance. And then there could be a point, if they were to do that, that we would need to do an all-out right to senators. We have Addison, Orange, and Windsor County senators, which is good for our SU around just voting no on the bill, like we did in the House. And we'll go from there. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that was really, I would say, disappointing but not surprising is the VSA, the Vermont School Business Association, so VSA, Vermont Superintendents Association, Vermont Principals Association, Vermont School Business Administrators Association, and the Vermont School Board Association put out a document today encouraging the Senate to reinstall minimum class sizes. So I'm not surprised by that. That's something they've been testifying along. I would say that the VSBA and VSA did a good job, I thought, of softening that testimony right after we had met with the VSBA. I had met with the VSA a few weeks ago. Clearly, their governance body pushed back, is my sense. And so that's why that got put back into.
But are they even really looking at classrooms? I mean, we have a classroom with small kids, there's a lot of support that is needed in those classrooms. Suddenly you put more kids in a classroom, you're gonna need more support in those classrooms.
It's not about that. It's about giving mechanisms for larger district boards to close schools.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. That's why you put that way.
I mean, our students have been through so much,
That's what that language is about.
They're not looking at real data points.
It's,
Accountability measures.
so,
yeah.
It fosters mediocrity.
Right.
what's that, Robin? I'm sorry.
That approach fosters mediocrity. I mean, nationally, we're one of the best places to send your kids to school. And it's because of the reasons we have small class sizes, more personalized attention. Our kids are included into classrooms. And if you want to make it like Florida, you're going to get scores like Florida. It's fostering mediocrity.
There's no question in my mind that RSUD is right, if they're talking about closing small schools, no matter that we cost effective, pro students, results oriented, we're getting everything for our money. We're in harm's way. And one of the big things that's holding that tide back is the Alliance. And Jamie's leadership and SU agreed that we were going to team up with, and this board voted to join the Alliance. And that Alliance, you're tracking it, they're doing something every day, every night, during the weekends, getting the best articulate, savvy, persuasive arguments why this consolidation thing is just idiotic. And I agree with Robin, I mean, mediocrity. So I suggest that my point of view is that I think RSUD should be encouraging Jamie and the SU to not see the Vermont School Board Association as our lobbyists, because they're clearly lobbying on a different point of view. They want to have minimum class sizes, and they want to have massive consolidation, so you do not have democracy in action in our two communities. And you don't have these schools open in these two communities. You don't have the community building blocks, which are our schools. So I like to really think that we should be encouraging SU to if it takes more financing for the Alliance is holding the line as best as they can. And whatever it is, I see this two ways. Let Vermont School Board Association, they're very good on training and seminars and everything else. But on lobbying on this issue, they're diametrically opposed to our continued existence. Seriously, what they're providing, no matter what pushback we've had. So we have to do everything possible to see if the legislature in their good wisdom to see the light and allow us to continue to do our jobs. We need the Alliance every step of the way until this thing is, who knows when it's going to be over, Jamie? What do you think? Even if they vote something, you've got the commission that's going to be meeting and making decisions, and so you're going to need a lobbying up at the State House.
This work's
ongoing.
gonna be right through the vote, like, right, the end vote would be on the governance maps,
Yeah.
in the current version of the bill, which would happen next session. So,
Absolutely support them. Yes.
Sorry, on a personal level, and just so you all know, I'm kind of slow to speak, fast to listen. Now I'm just trying to find my footing in this group, and I'm honored to be here. But on a personal level, all y'all speaking about and everything being said about H454, we moved here because of the school system. We relocated from Boston, where it has a great reputation for education, but in my opinion, a lot of it is based in the higher education. And visiting and touring the school, because Boston was not a fit for my son, and seeing him thrive in Stockbridge Central and everything coming out of this bill is why I'm here today, is to be an advocate and to be all ears. But that being said, the economy is going to take a hit, because there are many people in Stockbridge that are like in transplants, that we came here for this small community, for these schools, for this direct impact on our kids' education, which for me in the major city of Boston, we didn't have that choice. You're going to lose. They have to understand they will lose people from this state. People are paying taxes and, good standing citizens. Like it'd be a tremendous blow to myself and all the other transplants who come here for this lifestyle change. We can come here financially for occupation. We came here for my son's education. So anyways, I just want to say on a personal level, that's the effect that it's having and driven me to be here today.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. Write letters.
Bye, Ben.
Yeah, I will certainly, I think the Alliance and myself included will sound the alarm if Senate Finance all of a sudden introduces this language back into the bill, right?
Okay.
And the alarm will be to essentially at that point, either create amendments to strike that language again before it gets voted on, or to just vote no on the bill. And, the Alliance and some of us locally, the night leading up to that House vote, I was up with a couple board members until about midnight trying to lobby some votes locally that we had here and to get letters for folks to read from the floor, which some of our representatives did. So we'll do the same work in regards to the Senate, but then at that point, there's still an opportunity then for us to then, at that point, I think the movement has to actually be that we need to show up in Montpelier when the House and Senate are trying to reconcile the bill to really say you should just be voting no, and that we're literally picketing. But we'll do all that in the coming weeks if that language gets added back.
Thank you so much.
thank you for the update and for continuing to keep us informed.
In the meantime,
about
keep
that.
hammering Senate Finance, which is what my letter said last week. That is the committee, and you should tell them that they should focus on finance and not be reintroducing language to close our small rural community schools. The closest senator here is Senator Hardy in regards to Addison County, who did do a forum in Regents, and Amy Peters from Greenville Hancock, and the vice chair of the SU board did attend that and was pretty just dismayed in regards to Senator Hardy's take on supervisory units. And what, I would say in your letters, you could say during Act 46, we were told to close our high schools because it was going to save money and create better opportunities. But that provided for increased choice under that bill, at which time you supported it. But now you want to once again have some of our same kids who have been in the system have to change again.
Great. Okay, well, thank you. Is there any further questions or discussion? Great. June and August wagon wheel meetings.
Yeah, so the SU board is trying to do a June and August wagon wheel style meeting. Certainly if there was emergency business or special business we needed to do, we can warn a meeting, but really to try to make, I think, to be an example across the state how boards could work in an SU structure and address some of the concerns that the VSA continues to say, which is that this type of structure results in burnout of superintendents and burnouts of business managers and burnouts of central office staff. That's their argument, right? Like, that's why the VSA doesn't like the SU structure. And so with that, we are looking at holding an SU-wide meeting in Bethel on June 10th, which is the second Tuesday of the month. That would replace your June meeting this way, because we would meet as an SU board. Our plan was to do an SU-wide training in regards to just board training that committee's been working on with Michaela Martin out of my office. And then, and we would do any other SU business we need to do. The plan is to have a celebration of learning that night as well. And start that meeting at 5:30, but be completed with the SU business by 6:45. And then we would move into local district meetings across the SU with your principals and a member of the central office team at 6:45 to do any local district business that you need to do from 6:45 to 8.
Okay.
So what that would result in is, essentially 5:30 to 8 that night, we get done what typically results in, for the tech team, Tara and myself, a minimum of 8 to 10 nights out. Within a month. So that's the idea. You don't have to be in person, because what we're going to have is rooms set up in regards to we'll do the SU meeting right in the library. My plan was to have some light refreshments and snacks and stuff for people. They are available. They would grab it, get what they need for finger food, bring it to their meeting for the district meeting. And then the district meeting would be in rooms, clearly, noted, and we would have hybrid options. So it's not requiring everyone to be in person. The meeting would be warm for Bethel, but there'd be the hybrid options.
Okay. June 10th, is that we're doing a wagon wheel meeting work for this board? Great, and then the other one is August.
We haven't set on a date yet. I thought that night we would, just because we probably have more board members.
Okay.
Across the SU, probably enjoy the SU meeting. My sense is that meeting could end up being conversation about H454, meaning like if that ends up being like that needs to take priority, that's what we'll do at the SU level meeting.
Yep, okay.
That night.
Is that instead of the June 2nd meeting or in addition to the June 2nd meeting?
That would be in place of.
Okay.
that is good with our board.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, is there any new hires or resignations?
So there's several potential new hires waiting to meet with Jamie.
One did,
One did,
Yep.
K1.
which is great. Kayla from Stockbridge.
Yes, so I wasn't sure.
I just met with her
Abigail
this
Hoops.
afternoon.
So we do have a kindergarten first grade teacher for next year in Stockbridge. Her name is Abigail Hoops. She came and she's coming to us from Bellows Falls area. She's been a kindergarten teacher and a preschool teacher. She has a lot of outdoor ed experience as well. And I'm very excited. She came and did a model lesson for the kids and did a great job with that and came highly recommended from her current principal. But she has friends in the area and wants to be closer to friends. So that's exciting. There's a couple other new hires that are waiting to meet with Jamie. So hopefully we'll have more updates.
Yeah, I would just say in regards to Abigail, it's clear to me that she chose to come to your district in Stockbridge, that it wasn't just, I need a job. Like the outdoor ed focus, the community school aspect work that we've been doing is really important to her. So I think the fit's gonna be really good in that regard.
Last name again, I'm sorry.
Hoops, Hoops.
Great, thank you very much.
So we were waiting until she met with Jamie today, so
Those are
she'll send
Hoops.
something. We'll get something out to families
Great.
this week in Thursday folders, and then she wants to send something out as well, so people get to know her too. And then we do have two folks who decided not to sign their letters of intent. And that's our 4-5-6 classroom teacher in Stockbridge, Emma Hudson, and our 4-5-6 literacy teacher here in Rochester, Andrew Hirsch. Unfortunately, they will not be returning.
All 4 out of 6s.
I said, oh boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're working on it.
And we had a retirement, or not, we're moving out of state, but a retirement to us too. Jesse Potter,
Oh, yes, thank you.
I just think the board will want.
Yes,
Jesse's
right,
been with us a
thank
long time.
This classroom ended, yep. Jessie Potter will be retiring at the end of the school year as she's moving out of state to be closer to family in Missouri.
Well, she's been with us for a long time,
Yeah.
so I want to, the board, wants to thank her for all the work and support she's done to our school and students.
And we'll be sending something out, but we're gonna do like a retiree celebration on
Good.
June 17th. The plans are kind of in the works, so
Well, let
we'll
us know, please.
send something out once we get it finalized.
If we could do it.
Yeah. And currently for our two longtime retiring teachers, something went out to the greater community today. There's a group of current teachers that are kind of putting together like some scrapbook stuff. So they're looking for memories or pictures that folks have from those two teachers from Miss Colvin and Miss Severy. We have scrapbook paper available, or if you would like to be digital, you can do that as well. But trying to hit as many
That's great.
former students as we can, which for both of those people is a large
That's a large
span.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much. Is there any public comment? Great. So our next meeting is going to be June 10th at 5:30 in Bethel and virtual, and then it'll be an SU meeting followed by our local meeting. Is there any future agenda items that we'd like to bring up now?
You do have that night, you will do your TAN, your tax anticipation note. We also have the social emotional data reports and the academic data reports that night
Okay.
at the local level. And probably, that's why I said we'll probably do H454 updates at the SU level, so we don't make your local districts
Yeah,
too
might as well.
long.
It's the same information for everybody. So, okay. Great. If anybody does have any future agenda items that they would like to see, just email me and or Jamie. Great. Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.